My House of Horrors Chapter 771 to 780. I've memorized the name of the sick room. I'll go back to ask my superior. You'd better hurry. The patient's condition is unstable, and if he faints for too long, it will cause damage to his brain. Okay. The lead officer left one of his men to guard the scene and led the rest back to the station. Pushing open the glass door, a wave of noise rushed at the lead officer. He frowned as he looked at his office. The place was filled with people, and they all had exaggerated expressions on their faces. They were telling the officers on duty something. "Where are the rules? Is that what you were taught?" The lead officer yelled at the young officer on duty. His voice was harsh. "Captain Kai, you're finally back. It's not that we're not following the rules, but their situation is very unique." The young officer handed the written statement to Captain Kai. Red Spectre. Ghost story. The shadow under the building. Can play the piano. What the hell is this? Captain Kai slammed the statement on the table. They're crazy, and you're going crazy with them. Do you not even have the most basic judgment? Quote. We've looked into it and even used a lie detector. It doesn't look like they're lying. T. Return that stupid machine to me. Captain Kai was rather angry. He walked over to question the young officer, but after a long time, he realized that he had wronged the young officer. This group of actors who had escaped from the haunted house seemed to be too immersed in their own world to come out. Did the haunted house hire a bunch of madmen? Since he could not get anything out of the actors, Captain Kai focused on the visitors. The actors might hide things for the haunted house's benefit, but the visitors would not. To prevent the visitors from being threatened by the actors, Captain Kai even led the three visitors to another room. Come with me. After closing the door, the serious Captain Kai's expression softened. Relax, just tell us the truth. There's no need to hold back. This was the first time that Li Yuan and Shui Li had been to the police station, so they were nervous. Compared to them, Chen Ge felt like he had returned home. He even ran to the water dispenser to get himself a glass of water. When this happened, were the three of you the only visitors inside the haunted house? Captain Kai's eyes moved away from Chen Ge to look at Li Yuan and Shui Li. There are also 3 students and a young woman who doesn't like to talk, Li Yuan said after thinking for a moment. We've verified the identities of these 4 people. They are all temporary actors hired by the haunted house. Captain Kai had the people outside bring in the notes, and he flipped through them. Think about it carefully. During the tour, did you run into any other visitors or people who looked obviously abnormal? Abnormal people? Li Yuan glanced outside through the cubicle window. Those people don't look normal. He really could not understand why he would end up at the police station when he was merely visiting a haunted house. Officer, my girlfriend and I just wanted to visit a haunted house and have an unforgettable date. We had no idea that something so big had happened inside the haunted house. If we had known, we would have left immediately. Why would we have stayed there to explore? Understood. In other words, when you visited the haunted house, you did not run into the red spectre mentioned by the actors. Captain Kai acutely grasped the key point. The visitors had no reason to lie, so they should be telling the truth. The red spectre mentioned by the actors and the people at the bottom of the building should be a self-directed farce. This is probably a new marketing strategy. Probably. Li Yuan and Shui Li were also quite afraid. It was not until then that they found out that the 3 students and the young woman were all actors. To have an actor pretend to be a visitor and then scare the visitors after gaining their trust, that was too much. Captain Kai asked a few more questions, and Li Yuan and Shui Li answered honestly. In the end, when Captain Kai could not get anything out of them, he moved his attention back to Chen Ge. What's your name? Chen Ge. I hear you're from Zhujiang, and you purposely came to Shanghai this morning to visit this haunted house. Yes, I own a haunted house, and I wanted to see the biggest haunted house in Shanghai for myself. Chen Ge did not hide this information. Even if he did not say it, the police would be able to find out. In other words, you're in the same business as the actors outside. Captain Kai narrowed his eyes. His years of experience made him feel that this young man was rather suspicious. I'm not as good as them. This is a small business, and they're playing too big. I don't understand their tricks at all. Chen Ge had a bitter expression on his face. The witnesses said that you jumped down from the second floor with the actors, so did you see the red specter that they mentioned? Honestly, I was confused by them. At the time, there were screams everywhere inside the haunted house, and there were strange noises coming from the speakers. Everyone was running, so I ran with them. No matter what Captain Kai asked, Chen Ge's answers were flawless. All right, the three of you can leave for now. After I'm done with the recording, you can leave. After Chen Ge's group left, Captain Kai stared at the chair that Chen Ge had been sitting on. This young man's mind is clear, and his answers are smooth. It feels like before I even ask the question, he already has the answer in mind. He doesn't look that old, but he's very calm. When he was talking to me, there was not even a ripple in his eyes. That's quite scary. No, I need to investigate this. There are no loopholes at all, so isn't that a loophole as well? Quote. Captain Kai opened the computer and logged into the police's internal database. This was the era of big data, so it was very easy to search for criminals. After he entered Chen Ge's information, he was stunned when he saw the page. The man was not only not a criminal, he was an outstanding citizen of Zhejiang. He had received the Good Samaritan Medal and the third-class honor medal from the Zhejiang Public Security Bureau. The scariest thing was that he had assisted the police in solving the case. Just the information about him alone was a whole page. With his lips twitching, Captain Kai started to suspect whether Chen Ge was an undercover agent for the Zhejiang police. Such a ridiculous resume was rare even in Shanghai. The interval between the information is very short. Does this man do nothing but wander around the different crime scenes every day? Captain Kai found this hard to accept. After looking through all the information, he took out his phone to make a call. After a few rings, the call was picked up. An impatient voice came from the other end of the phone. "Oh, Kai, if you have something to say, just say it. I'm so busy right now." Li Zheng, ever since you were transferred to the Zhejiang Key Case Investigation Unit, your tone has changed. I'm currently investigating a murder case, so I don't have time to argue with you. I'm hanging up. After I'm done, I'll treat you to a meal. Wait, it won't take up too much of your time. Captain Kai looked at the information on the web page. This time, I'm calling you because I want to ask you about someone. Who? Chen Ge. Who? Say that again. It's the boss of a haunted house in Zhejiang. His name is Chen Ge. I saw the information about the award that you gave him on our internal network. He went to Shanghai? Li Zheng's voice did not sound right. Yes, we received a call at noon saying that someone jumped off the building at a haunted house, and we discovered that he was there. He was the one who called the police. No, he was the one who jumped. Welcome to Fanfic Audiobook, your go-to place for immersive audiobooks. If you enjoy the content, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to our channel for more amazing stories. It was Chen Ge who jumped off the building. That shouldn't be. Is he alright? Li Zheng's voice was filled with confusion. The kid is very fit. There were several people who jumped from the second floor, but he was the only one who didn't suffer any injuries. Captain Kai also did not understand. He checked the surveillance of the building opposite the haunted house. Of all the people who jumped, Chen Ge was the one who was the most familiar with the jump. Cushioning and deflecting force, it was as if he had practiced this many times before. There is indeed a problem, but I don't think you need to worry too much. As long as it was not him who called the police, it shouldn't be that big of a deal. Li Zheng sounded like he had been through this before. Several people are injured, and a few are still unconscious. How is that not a big deal? I also have no idea why he went to Shanghai. If you have the chance to receive his call in the future, you'll understand what I'm saying now. Oh, Kai, enjoy your peaceful life. I still have something to do, so I'll hang up now. Li Zheng was about to hang up. Wait a minute. How come it feels like there's more to your words? If you don't explain yourself today, don't even think about hanging up. Captain Kai was a stubborn person. I'm afraid of you. What else do you want to know? Hurry up and ask. Li Zheng was really busy. He had started work the moment he was discharged from the hospital, and there were several serious cases that needed his cooperation. I've seen the commendations that you've released. The interval is very short. In fact, there were cases where you provided clues to 2 murder cases within 1 week. Captain Kai's tone was serious. Can a normal person solve 2 murder cases within 1 week? Can there be so many murders around a normal person? Unless the killer is himself. The chance is so low that it's almost negligible. Your suspicion is reasonable, but did I say he's a normal person? Li Jung knew that the man had misunderstood. Is he really one of your people? Of course not. The kid has the talent to be a police officer, but unfortunately, he used it on a haunted house. Li Jung sighed. When we first received his call, we did a background check on him. He might be a happy-go-lucky person, but only he knows the pain in his heart. He's also a person with a story. Yes, just a year ago, his parents mysteriously disappeared. If they were alive, no one could find them. If they were dead, no one could find their corpses. Until now, the reason has not been found. According to the description of a senior in the local police station, the kid had a breakdown and was in a daze for a long time. It took a few months for him to pull himself together again. It was probably from then on that he decided to find his parents by himself. The surveillance cameras around his residence often captured him going out late at night. He was collecting local cold cases and clues. He took the initiative to go to those dangerous places, probably to find his family. After hearing what Li Jung said, Captain Kai did not reply immediately. The image of Chen Ge earlier appeared in his mind, and he was reminded of Chen Ge's calm eyes. What he is doing is very dangerous. Didn't any of you try to talk him out of it? We tried to persuade him more than once, but it was useless. Actually, if you put yourself in his shoes, you can understand him. His family's whereabouts are unknown, and his beautiful memories are all in the past. Naturally, a person like that would hate evil. Li Jung had a very high opinion of Chen Ge. He had a great admiration for Chen Ge. With a bumpy past, a sense of justice, an aversion to evil, and an outstanding individual. That was Captain Kai's current impression of Chen Ge. Okay, I understand. I won't disturb you anymore. Captain Kai hung up the phone. He stared blankly at the list of commendations on the computer. It was hard to tell what was going through his mind. After a long time, he took out his phone to call his superior's number. He wanted to see if he should send the boss of Nightmare Academy to Zhujiang's intensive care unit for treatment. After getting his superior's approval, Captain Kai immediately left for the hospital. At 5 p.m., Chen Ge left the police station on Xinhai's Central Avenue. Compared to the local police station in Zhujiang, the process in Xinhai was more complicated. Of course, it could also be because the local police in Zhujiang already knew Chen Ge, so they skipped some unnecessary steps. I thought I would be able to return at noon, but I ended up staying here for a whole day. After exiting the police station, Chen Ge hailed a cab to return to Nightmare Academy. Lao Zhou and Xu Yin were still at the haunted house. Xinhai's Central Avenue was filled with people. The drama at noon did not affect the place much. With his head lowered, Chen Ge blended into the crowd and glanced at the haunted house. The door was closed, and the entrance was cordoned off. I can't enter from the front door, so I'll have to go through the mall. Chen Ge entered the mall from the other entrance. He pressed the button on the recorder to contact Xu Yin. He wandered around the mall for several minutes when the recorder suddenly made a static noise. Chen Ge realized that Xu Yin had sensed him. He turned into the toilet, found an empty cubicle, and started to call Xu Yin's name softly in his heart. The light in the toilet flickered, and the door creaked. At some point, the light above his head suddenly went off. The faucet made a dripping sound, and there was a faded smell of blood in the air. Then, a line of bloody letters appeared on the cubicle door, "Toilet at the underground parking lot." This is the place that Xu Yin wants me to go to? Chen Ge did not think too much about it and went directly to the underground parking lot. However, he looked for a long time and could not find the toilet. All he saw was a storage room with a sign that said, "No entry." This should be the place, right? Opening the door, Chen Ge walked into it. The room was indeed a toilet, but it was no longer in use. It was filled with various trash. He called for Xu Yin again. This time, Xu Yin in a red shirt and Lao Zhou with an honest smile appeared at the same time. "Boss, we've found a surprise inside this haunted house." Lao Zhou led the way. They opened the door of the last cubicle. The wall inside had been broken down, and it led to a dark corridor. After moving away all the wooden boards that blocked the way, Chen Ge and the two employees entered. This place is connected to the haunted house's first floor, and it leads to a sealed scenario. With Joe leading the way, Chen Ge arrived at the basement of the haunted house, a scenario that was completely sealed up by wooden boards. After removing the boards, Chen Ge looked inside. The whole scenario was empty. Most of the props had been removed, and the only thing left was a table that was placed in the middle. It was a normal table, and there was nothing special about it. Chen Ge looked into the table's drawer and realized that there was a diary inside. "This is the surprise you mentioned?" Chen Ge took out the diary and flipped through it. He felt that it was very familiar. Then, he took out the diary that he had obtained at Nightmare Academy's welcome ceremony from his backpack. After comparing them, he realized that the content of the two diaries was 90% similar. The difference was that the diary inside the table's drawer had all the words sewn onto it with red thread, and it looked very awkward. "Boss, this diary was written using the blood vessels behind the door. It came from inside one of the doors." "This diary was taken from behind the door?" Chen Ge knew that Lao Zhou would not lie to him, so he placed both diaries on the table. "Boss, I suspect that the reason the Nightmare Academy's boss was able to build this haunted house was because he used this diary as a reference. The content of the diary recorded the scenario behind the door, and the boss recreated the scenario in real life based on the diary." Lao Zhou shared his speculation. Could the boss of Nightmare Academy have entered the world behind the door? Those who could survive behind the door were not normal people. "We've interacted with the boss of Nightmare Academy. He is just a normal person with a weak mentality. He probably hasn't entered the world behind the door. He probably found this diary somewhere else." After Lao Zhou finished his analysis, he flipped the diary to the end. The handwriting on this diary is different, written by different people. Many pages have been torn out, but that is not important. The important thing is that Xu Yin and I found these 4 words in the diary. Lao Zhou pointed at the end of the last page, and it said, "I, die, 1, 3, School of the Afterlife, Escape." It was a few words, and it was impossible to understand what the man was trying to say. Lao Zhou's group only saw the words School of the Afterlife. They knew that Chen Ge had been looking for information related to this school. School of the Afterlife. Could this diary have been taken from behind the door of the School of the Afterlife? Quote. When he saw the word School of the Afterlife, the expression in Chen Ge's eyes changed. "That's possible, but I think we'd better find the boss and ask him about the truth." Lao Zhou scratched his head. The man is probably still at the hospital. When he was left alone at the haunted house, Xu Yin and I played with him for a while. Don't worry, the police did not tell me anything about the haunted house's boss. This means that the man's life is not in danger. We should go to the hospital now. School of the Afterlife was the first 4-star mission that had appeared on the black phone. The mission deadline was approaching, but Chen Ge did not have the confidence to complete it. Xu Yin was injured and Zhang Ya was in a coma. Forcefully doing a 4-star trial mission under such circumstances was a very dangerous thing to do. However, he was unwilling to let Chen Ge give up on this mission. The futuristic theme park was about to open for business. If his haunted house stagnated, the visitors that he had worked so hard to attract would probably be snatched away. This was why he was trying so hard to collect information about the School of the Afterlife. Be it taking the risk or choosing to give up, he had to have enough information to support his decision. You've stayed inside this haunted house for the whole afternoon. Did you find anything else? There was a reason why Chen Ge had asked Lao Zhou and Xu Yin to stay behind. He wanted them to inspect the place first. Lao Zhou shook his head. Even though the building is built at the most yin location and does not see sunlight all year round, the place is filled with yin energy. Perhaps because Xinhai's central street is too crowded with people, there are no ghosts here. Built in the middle of a busy city, the lingering spirit can stay here for a long time. The location of this haunted house is perfect. The more Chen Ge looked at the place, the more he liked it. When I get back, I'll have a good talk with Director Luo. Chen Ge shoved the 2 diaries into his backpack, summoned back Xu Yin and Lao Zhou, and silently left Nightmare Academy. I need to find a way to wake up the boss of Nightmare Academy as soon as possible. Unfortunately, Dr. Wei is in charge of the haunted house, so I didn't bring him with me. When he was at the police station, Chen Ge had heard the name of the hospital that the actors were staying at from the police office's conversation. After leaving the underground parking lot, he hailed a cab to head to the hospital. The hospital in Xinhai was very big, and there were many patients. Chen Ge wandered around for a long time before he found a police officer standing guard outside one of the sick rooms. All the actors from Nightmare Academy are inside that sick room. Chen Ge pretended to walk past the sick room casually. When his eyes scanned the glass window on the sick room door, his pupils narrowed, and he used yin-yang vision. Everyone else is there, but how come the boss is nowhere to be seen? Is he still being treated at the emergency room? That's impossible. Lao Zhou and Xu Yin are so kind, they wouldn't kill him. Chen Ge knew his employees very well, and he trusted them from the bottom of his heart. Before the police became suspicious, Chen Ge went to find them. His face was filled with worry and anxiety. "Officer, is my brother all right?" Seeing Chen Ge gasping for air and filled with worry, even though the police officer was confused, he did not chase him away. "Who is your brother?" "He's the boss of Nightmare Academy. I heard something happened to him. Is he all right?" "You're Shang Guan Qing Hong's younger brother?" The police officer signaled for Chen Ge to calm down. "Your brother's condition is not that good. He's still in a deep coma. Following the doctor's suggestion, we've already transferred him to Zhujiang for further treatment." "You've sent him to Zhujiang?" The shock on Chen Ge's face could not be hidden at all, but his reaction was too fast. He blurted out, "You did not allow him to receive treatment at the big hospital in Xinhai but sent him to a hospital at a small city. Based on my knowledge, the medical conditions there are far worse than Xinhai's. You're treating my brother's life like a joke." "Don't panic. The overall medical standard in Zhujiang is indeed not as good as in Xinhai, but when it comes to treating people who have fainted from shock, they are very professional." "You're not lying to me, are you? You can look it up online. The hospital is called Zhujiang Central Hospital, and there's a sick room there that specializes in fainting patients." After getting the information that he wanted, Chen Ge did not communicate with the police officer anymore. He prepared to leave with a worried expression. "Wait a minute." The police officer looked at Chen Ge's back, and he suddenly felt that the man looked rather familiar. He seemed to have seen him in the afternoon. Without turning back, Chen Ge blended into the crowd and entered the stairwell when the police officer was not paying attention. This police officer has quite a good memory. I was almost recognized by him. To prevent himself from running into the man again, Chen Ge came to the second floor. He wanted to take a detour before leaving. However, he only took a few steps when he was stunned. There was a man sitting on a chair outside the door of the luxurious sick room, and the man was looking at him with a very strange gaze. "Boss, didn't you go to visit someone else's haunted house? Why are you at the hospital?" Quote. The man sitting outside the luxurious sick room was Zhang Jingju. That morning, he had asked for leave from Chen Ge, saying that his father was sick, and he wanted to come to Xinhai to visit him. Coincidentally, Chen Ge was going to visit Nightmare Academy, so the two of them took the same train to Xinhai. Chen Ge did not waste too much time on this question. He could not tell Zhang Jingju that the hospital was actually his third stop, and he had even taken the police car to the police station in between. Has the old man's condition stabilized? Chen Ge sat next to Zhang Jingju and glanced into the sick room through the window. He's fine, Zhang Jingju sighed. Sometimes, I feel so useless. I should have come to visit him sooner. Today, we have had a long chat. Even though the knot in our hearts of more than 10 years has not been completely unraveled, at least we have both taken a step forward. Quote. Staring at the sick room door, Zhang Jingju looked at the old man who had fallen asleep in bed. Before this, I thought he was an unreasonable B*****. He had a violent temper, went to social events every day, and did not care about his family. But now that he is lying in bed and has collapsed, I suddenly realized that even someone as powerful as him will grow old. Silently turning his head away, Zhang Jingju took a moment to calm down before his tone returned to normal. I'm sorry, I haven't seen him for so long, I'm a bit. It's fine, I understand. Chen Ge patted Zhang Jingju's shoulder lightly. He did not say anything and stood quietly to the side. After Zhang Jingju came of age, he had lived alone in Zhujiang. In the whole of Xinhai, other than his father in the sick room, he had no other friends. At that moment, the only person who could listen to him was Chen Ge. When it was almost 6 p.m., Zhang Jingju called the nurse over and gave her a handwritten letter. He had her pass it to his father, and then he left with Chen Ge.
Boss, when we were going downstairs, why did the police keep looking at you? Shouldn't you be concerned about why there are police officers at the hospital?
That's right, why would there be police officers at the hospital? Has there been some kind of case in Xinhai? Perhaps. The two took the last train back to Zhujiang. Once they exited the train station, Chen Ge and Zhang Jingju went straight to Western Zhujiang's haunted house.
Chen Ge had not been at the haunted house for the whole day, so he was worried that something might have happened.
Zhang Jingju, on the other hand, just wanted to help. After all, he had not done anything for the whole day. When he was visiting his father, Chen Ge had even given him a big red packet, telling him to buy something for his father. Honestly, Zhang Jingju was quite touched. After entering New Century Park and arriving at the entrance of the haunted house, Chen Ge realized that his worry was unfounded. There was no problem with the business during the day. Xiao Jiyu and Xu Wan had already left work after cleaning the place. Scissors followed Xu Shu to help out at other parts of the park, and he got to know the other workers at the park. Xu Shu was doing this for Scissors' own good. Scissors did not like to talk. Unlike Xiao Jiyu, if there was no one to guide him, he probably would not interact with the other workers at the park for the rest of his life.
Xu Shu, did anything happen during the day? Chen Ge did not expect that there would still be so many workers at the park who had not left work so late at night. They were busy setting up the theme park to prepare for the upcoming holiday season.
Without you around, everything is so peaceful today. It's much better than before. Xu Shu looked like he was in a good mood. Only running water can feed the big fish. We can't let everything be so peaceful forever. Chen Ge had Zhang Jingju help out as well while he returned to the haunted house. He placed the various red specters in his backpack back where they were.
This experiment had a huge impact on him. In the future, he could use the day to do other things. My workers have already memorized the rules. In the future, they can go and scare people on their own.
After going through all the scenarios and realizing that nothing was wrong, Chen Ge used the comic to summon the few doctors back. He left New Century Park again and hailed a cab to hurry to Xinhai Central Hospital.
Slowly opening his eyes, the hospital's white light shone on his face. The boss of Nightmare Academy, Shangguan Qinghong, pursed his pale and cracked lips. Several seconds later, his consciousness slowly returned to him.
His head was heavy, and he felt dizzy. He wanted to raise his hand, but he only managed to do so after several tries. Where am I? Turning his neck with great effort, Shangguan Qinghong saw that he was lying on a bed, and there were two doctors standing next to him. This is the intensive care ward of Zhujiang Central Hospital. You have been unconscious for a whole afternoon. We have used many methods to wake you up. The leading doctor signaled for Shangguan Qinghong to stop moving. Rest well. We have already contacted the Xinhai police. They will probably arrive tomorrow. Contact the police? Why would we need to contact the police? Shangguan Qinghong held his head. He felt like he had just woken up from a very realistic nightmare. We do not know the exact details. We are just doctors, and we are only responsible for saving lives. You should rest well here. Based on our past experience, this kind of severe coma will come with some side effects. You will need time to recover. The doctor gave Shangguan Qinghong a few more words before leaving. Until now, Shangguan Qinghong still did not understand why he was lying inside a sick room in Zhujiang.
Boss, you also went to visit his haunted house. A familiar voice came from the bed next to him. Shangguan Qinghong turned to look and saw a man with a feminine appearance looking at him with a bitter smile.
Li Changyan, why are you here? Shangguan Qinghong did not expect to see his own employee inside the sick room. This sick room is specifically used to treat the visitors from New Century Park. Not only me, they are all victims of that haunted house. Li Changyan pointed at the other beds, and only then did Shangguan Qinghong realize that this sick room was very large. It was made up of 3 sick rooms. His unconscious state was seen by so many people, and Shangguan Qinghong felt quite embarrassed. However, he soon realized that the eyes of these patients did not look at him with mockery. Instead, their eyes were filled with sympathy and understanding.
What is this resonance that comes from the heart?
With a dry cough, Shangguan Qinghong forced himself to sit up. You all fainted inside Western Zhujiang's haunted house? As fellow sufferers sympathized with each other, the patients nodded.
Changyan, you're here early. Can you introduce me to them? Shangguan Qinghong winked at Li Changyan.
The patient in bed 1 by the window is called Fei Yuliang. He is this sick room's first patient. Now, he has almost fully recovered, but please do not hear anything related to marriage. Once you do, your illness will act up.
The uncle in bed 2 is an engineer from the futuristic theme park. He has nightmares every night. In bed 3, Li Changyan introduced the patients one by one. His words were filled with sadness, and it made Shangguan Qinghong feel like crying. This room was filled with victims, and each of them was more pitiful than the last.
All right, that's enough. Shangguan Qinghong looked at all the patients in the sick room, and his fists slowly tightened. After a long time, he said, all of us have the same experience. We are all victims of that haunted house. We cannot let this go so easily. Shangguan Qinghong was a boss himself. He had been through a lot, and he was not someone who would give up so easily.
What do you want to do? The engineer from the futuristic theme park asked. He felt that Shangguan Qinghong was different from the other patients.
I think we can work together. We are all victims. We can write down our experiences and then slowly find the flaws and loopholes. Shangguan Qinghong's eyes slowly sharpened. His words attracted the interest of all the patients there. Brother, what is your name? Fei Yuliang was the one who had recovered the fastest. Normally, he looked like a normal person. Shangguan Qinghong. Just from the name alone, I can tell that you're not a normal person. Fei Yuliang wanted to say something else, but his eyes suddenly swept to the window on the sickroom door. His body shivered involuntarily. He could not believe his eyes. Unbearable memories flashed through his mind. Fei Yuliang rubbed his eyes subconsciously before he moved his gaze away. This is probably an illusion. My condition is unstable again, so there is no way he would be here.
Before coming here, I had no idea that this haunted house has harmed so many people. You've all suffered. Shangguan Qinghong had just woken up from his coma. He knew that his haunted house was haunted, but he had no idea about the relationship between the ghosts and Chen Ge.
The confusion in his eyes had dissipated. From Fei Yuliang's tone, Shangguan Qinghong could hear the resentment in the man's heart. When he suggested that they work together to destroy Chen Ge's haunted house, the eyes of the patients had glowed with greed. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. Shangguan Qinghong knew how to use all his resources to achieve his goal.
Chong Yin, create a group and pull everyone in. After I recover, we'll take our time to deal with that haunted house. Don't rush. The engineer from the futuristic theme park was someone who had been through a lot, so he was not used to being ordered around. If we could resist, we would have done so already, but do you think it's that easy?
He scoffed at Shangguan Qinghong's suggestion. The futuristic theme park was such a giant. They had used many methods to destroy Chen Ge's haunted house, but they had all failed.
Now, they wanted to take revenge on a patient who had also fainted. The engineer did not think that was realistic.
If you don't even have the will to resist, then you're destined to live in the haunted house's shadow forever. Your illness will be very difficult to cure. Shangguan Qinghong was very calm. He held his dizzy head and tried to sit up because that would make him look more imposing. What do you mean we're destined to live in the haunted house's shadow? Didn't you faint inside the haunted house as well? The pot calling the kettle black? The engineer stood up to pick up the teacup on the table. When he turned his gaze, he suddenly saw Fei Yuliang's body shaking non-stop. I'm different from you. Even though Shangguan Qinghong's face was pale, there was a victorious smile on his lips. I didn't faint inside his haunted house. I fainted inside my own haunted house.
Your own haunted house. The engineer thought to himself, this doesn't seem like something worth showing off, so why does he look so proud?
That's right. I also own a haunted house, and my haunted house is definitely scarier than Zhang's haunted house. Shangguan Qinghong maintained the mysterious smile on his face. I have a secret weapon that no other haunted house on the market has. What secret weapon? The patients in the ward all looked over curiously.
Would it still be a secret if I told you? Shangguan Qinghong was very confident because he had personally experienced that kind of fear. Shangguan Qinghong was acting mysteriously. Beside him, Li Changyan seemed to sense something, and he asked in a small voice, "Boss, could it be that the thing downstairs has come out again?" That's right. It's the thing that scared little Tian so much that he fell sick.
Boss, calm down. That was no laughing matter. If that thing really appears in the haunted house, forget the visitors, even the actors will not be able to handle it.
This is a critical moment. I can't care so much. Shangguan Qinghong lay on the bed. His face was pale, and his limbs were limp, but he gave off an air of confidence that victory was within his grasp.
Are the two of you acting together? The engineer looked at Shangguan Qinghong. You fainted inside your own haunted house, so you have no right to speak. I suggest you go to New Century Park's haunted house for a spin before you come back to talk about cooperation with us. I know you don't believe me. Shangguan Qinghong moved his neck with great difficulty. Changyan, take out my phone and show him the third video file on the list. Li Changyan took out his phone, found the video, and started to play it. It was the clip that Shangguan Qinghong had taken from his own haunted house. Chen Ge stood in the middle of the basement. Suddenly, he seemed to have seen something very scary. His body lost its balance, and he was so scared that he jumped back a few steps.
Did you see that? The person that you are afraid of was scared to the point that he peed his pants inside my haunted house. In terms of fear, my haunted house and his haunted house are not even on the same level. Shangguan Qinghong would not tell the other patients that his haunted house was really haunted, and he had personally experienced it.
It is indeed the boss of New Century Park's haunted house. The engineer watched the video several times. After confirming that the video was not edited, he finally believed Shangguan Qinghong. He was about to go into detail with Shangguan Qinghong about the plan to take revenge on Chen Ge when he raised his head and saw a familiar face at the sickroom window.
Wait a minute, the engineer's arm muscles were twitching. Before he could put down the phone, the sickroom door was pushed open lightly. The room became quiet instantly. The patients did not even dare breathe too loudly.
I didn't lie to you, did I? Shangguan Qinghong had not fully recovered. He tilted his head to look at the engineer. Join the group first. I will slowly teach this arrogant B*** a lesson. Cough cough. Li Changyan covered his mouth and started to cough violently. As he coughed, he blinked at Shangguan Qinghong. Your body has not fully recovered yet. I'm sorry to have caused you so much pain, Changyan. But don't worry, I will soon have him lying in this sick room as well. When the time comes, we will all take our revenge. Shangguan Qinghong had long been annoyed by Chen Ge, a haunted house in a small city that has become famous on the internet through swindling people. It's time to wake him up.
Shangguan Qinghong spoke for a long time, but there was no reply. He frowned. Changyan, why do you keep coughing? Should I call the doctor? Quote.
No need, no need. I feel like it's time for me to take my medicine. Li Changyan turned to look for something inside the cupboard, but the cupboard was supposed to be used to store clothes.
What about the rest of you? Why aren't you saying anything? Shangguan Qinghong turned to Fei Yuliang. Brother, you were the first to enter this sickroom, so let's start with you. Let's all share our experiences, and I'll see if we can find any loopholes. Fei Yuliang, who had initially admired Shangguan Qinghong, did not seem to hear him. He leaned against the window and took out his phone to look at the moon outside. Mom, I won't be going back for Chinese New Year. I'm very busy with work. What? It's only June. It's fine. I'm just wishing you a happy new year. Quote. What's going on? Shangguan Qinghong felt that something was wrong, and he turned to look at the engineer.
The man avoided his gaze like he did not know this person at all. He held the phone with both hands and enjoyed the video. The hospital's Wi-Fi sure is fast. There is no lag at all. The short videos produced by Western Zhujiang's haunted house are so interesting. They are exciting and novel. Short videos? Aren't you holding my phone? Shang Guanqinghong finally realized that something was wrong. He turned his head around with great effort, and when he looked behind him, he almost fainted again. The sickroom door was open, and Chen Ge was standing next to Shang Guanqinghong's bed with his backpack. You've already woken up. What a waste of my effort to bring so many top doctors with me. With a warm smile on his face, Chen Ge acted like he did not hear what Shang Guanqinghong had said earlier. When did you arrive? Shang Guanqinghong was really spooked. He probably did not dare sleep on his side anymore. I just arrived. I have some questions to ask you, and I hope you can answer them honestly. Chen Ge first took out the fake diary from Nightmare Academy and placed it before Shang Guanqinghong's eyes. Where did you get this diary from? I wrote it myself. Why? Shang Guanqinghong was still trying to defend himself. Then what about this one? Chen Ge took out the diary that he had found in the sealed underground scenario. Seeing the handwriting that looked like blood vessels inside the diary, Shang Guanqinghong's face paled even more. You don't want to talk? Chen Ge did not press Shang Guanqinghong. He turned to look at the other patients. I have something to talk to this man alone. I left my glasses in the bathroom. I need to go get them. The doctor told me to take more walks to help with my recovery, so I'm going out for a walk. Wait for me, we'll go together. The people inside the sick room did not want to stay there any longer. Before Chen Ge finished, they all walked out. Alright, now it's just the two of us. Chen Ge moved a chair over and sat next to Shang Guanqinghong. There are no outsiders here, so there's no need for you to hold back. Tell me everything you know. Chen Ge placed the two diaries before Shang Guanqinghong. Where did you find this? Shang Guanqinghong had not recovered from the shock. In his mind, even if Chen Ge was not scared half to death, he should have fainted, but the Chen Ge before him was not only perfectly normal, he was radiating a very dangerous presence. Your haunted house is indeed haunted, and the source of all the disasters is this diary. Chen Ge pulled open the zipper of his backpack. If Shang Guanqinghong still wanted to deny it, he would summon the few doctors and have them do a full body checkup on Shang Guanqinghong. After a few minutes of silence, Shang Guanqinghong suddenly revealed a smile. He moved his neck with difficulty to look at Chen Ge. Even if I tell you, it is useless. The thing inside this diary has already left. It is just an empty shell. Empty shell? Chen Ge was even more curious. Looks like you know a lot of things. I won't lie to you. I bought this diary from a mother. Her child became a vegetable due to a car accident. She took care of the child for 5 whole years until one night, her child suddenly woke up. Looking at the world around him, he fell into a state of great fear. It was like he was having a long nightmare. Shang Guanqinghong's words had aroused Chen Ge's interest. A vegetable has woken up. Where is the child now? Chen Ge did not think that Shang Guanqinghong was lying. He wanted to find the child directly. Dead. He died not long after he woke up. Shang Guanqinghong's voice was strange, like he hesitated between every word. During the period when the boy woke up, he was incoherent and afraid of everyone around him, including his own mother. About 2 days later, the boy finally let down his guard around his mother. He told his mother that he had hidden a diary in his room and hoped that his mother would take good care of it. The mother agreed instantly, but that night, the boy passed away. The cause of death was cardiac arrest. The boy died after he told his mother the secret. Chen Ge felt that there must be something wrong with this. That mother couldn't believe it was true. She had guarded her child for 5 whole years, and it wasn't easy for her child to wake up. However, on the second night after he woke up, he left this world forever. She was so traumatized that she had mental problems. She couldn't get over it even after a long time of treatment. In the end, under the doctor's advice, she sold everything related to the boy and pretended that the child had never appeared in her life. Shang Guanqinghong knew the details. He appeared to have investigated this diary before. I met the mother and her attending doctor at the flea market. It was then that I bought this diary. How is the boy's mother's condition? Where does she live? Is he still receiving treatment? Chen Ge's brain was already spinning rapidly. He smelled something unusual about the whole thing. Unfortunately, the treatment did not go well. Selling the things did not mean that one could forget the past. Due to her extreme sadness, the mother could not take the blow, and one night, she passed away. Shangguan Qinghong tried to sit up straight. That is all I know.
What do you mean by an empty shell? When the diary was first returned to the haunted house, every midnight, there would be the sound of a child's laughter and crying. That was the main reason why our Nightmare Academy's nightlife was so scary. But later, for some reason, the diary suddenly returned to normal, so I suspect that it is now just an empty shell. Shangguan Qinghong acted normally.
Chen Ge was not sure whether Shangguan Qinghong was lying or not, but he was sure of one thing. There was no ghost in this diary. Lao Zhou and Xu Yin had already verified that.
Everything that I've said is the truth. Shangguan Qinghong's voice softened. I know that Zhujiang is your territory. Since you have the power to transfer me to your territory, then I admit defeat. Shangguan Qinghong had just woken up from his coma, and he still had no idea what had happened.
When he opened his eyes, he realized that he was in a sick room in a strange city, and his nemesis was waiting outside the door. It was hard for one not to associate that with a situation like that. He was a suspicious person, so it was natural for him to misunderstand some things.
Stay here and rest. It was the police who helped you with the transfer. It has nothing to do with me. Chen Ge felt like he would not gain anything from staying there. He shoved the two diaries into his backpack and stood up to leave.
The police? Shangguan Qinghong was left alone in the sick room. He was still trying to figure out the meaning behind Chen Ge's words. Returning to New Century Park, once he entered the front door, Chen Ge noticed that the decorations were different from usual. Many things had been added. The holiday season is coming.
All the park employees had left. Chen Ge sat alone in the staff break room of the haunted house. He locked the door, closed the window, and pulled the curtain. Then, he placed the black phone on the work table. Swiping the screen, Chen Ge turned to the page where the mission information was. His eyes stared straight at the bloody words in the middle of the screen. 4-star trial mission School of the Afterlife. The mission will expire in 27 hours. Warning. After the mission expires, the scenario will never be unlocked. After 27 hours, this 4-star mission will no longer be available, and the 4-star scenario School of the Afterlife will never be unlocked. Chen Ge raised his head to look at the clock on the wall. In 27 hours, in other words, this mission will disappear tomorrow night. His finger moved on the screen, but Chen Ge did not have the confidence to click on it. After experiencing the 3.5-star Liwan City, Chen Ge did not dare imagine how scary a 4-star scenario would be. The possibility was probably beyond his imagination. Zhang Ya is asleep. No matter how hard I call, there is no response. Even though Xu Yin has become a red specter, the curse on him hasn't been purged, so his power is greatly reduced. The remaining employees are all old and weak, so they won't be of much use. Chen Ge scanned through all the employees in his mind, and his heart chilled.
When he went to challenge the 3.5-star scenario, all the employees at the haunted house had been working together, and they had been at their peak. Now, he was going to challenge a 4-star scenario, but he was not as strong as before. How was he going to clear the scenario? Whenever the countdown timer on the black phone changed, the struggle in Chen Ge's heart would increase. His finger hovered above the phone. He tried several times, but he did not click on it. For the sake of safety, I should ask the pen spirit. Chen Ge took out the ballpoint pen that was covered in tape and used the pen spirit's prediction power. Pen spirit, can I walk out of the School of the Afterlife alive? Chen Ge asked the pen spirit for some comfort. He did not even dare ask whether he could clear the scenario or not. Moments later, the ballpoint pen in Chen Ge's hand spun on its own, and he wrote something on the paper. If you bring me to the School of the Afterlife, I will choose to commit suicide. Compared to going there, committing suicide is a happier option. Do you have some misunderstanding about happiness? Furthermore, is that place really that scary? Looking at the words on the paper with a frown, Chen Ge was also shocked by the pen spirit's rather die in glory than live in dishonor attitude.
I can only predict a blurry thing, and that's how it feels to me. After the second sentence, the pen spirit did not respond anymore.
If not for the fact that Chen Ge knew a normal specter could not leave their possession for too long, he would have thought that the pen spirit had run away.
The pen spirit's prediction has a 50% chance of being wrong, so this might be a mistake. Chen Ge picked up the black phone and hurried down to the underground scenario to find the crying statue.
I have a question to ask you. Standing in the dimly lit bedroom, Chen Ge did not even finish his question. He only said the term school of the afterlife, and the statue's eyes started to bleed like it had seen something very scary. The difference is too big. Chen Ge's haunted house had 2 employees with the power of prediction, but they were normal specters, and they were not that powerful. If the pen spirit can become a red specter, then she should be able to become another core of my haunted house. Looking at the old ballpoint pen, Chen Ge shared his thoughts with the pen spirit, but there was no reply. Do I really have to give up? The mission would end tomorrow night. Seeing the 4-star scenario disappear just like that, Chen Ge's heart ached. Actually, Chen Ge had asked the pen spirit before when he was unsure whether the mission was dangerous or not, and the pen spirit would only tell him that it was extremely dangerous. This was the first time that Chen Ge had encountered something like this that required him to commit suicide. Don't act rashly, he repeated in his heart, but his finger did not move.
Scrolling through the mission page, Chen Ge suddenly saw another ongoing mission, the story of Left Oculus. The mission related to Chong Ji-yu. I've only completed the first part, Theater of the Dead. There are still 2 more parts that I haven't completed. Before Chen Ge went to Shanghai, to help Zhang Wenyu complete the suicide victim's wish, he wanted to find a film crew. He had accidentally run into Chong Ji-yu and obtained a very important piece of information. Chonggu's younger sister, Chong Wenyu, had once entered the school of the afterlife and survived. Unfortunately, Chong Wenyu's soul had already disappeared. Her left eye was currently inside her brother, Chonggu's eye socket. Due to the failed surgery, Chonggu's normal eye was also affected, and he was almost blind. Chong Wenyu has entered the school of the afterlife and has a student ID there. I should be able to find something from her. Chen Ge did not give up. He decided to start with this mission. There are only 20 hours left. I have to move now.
Without wasting any time, Chen Ge packed his backpack. He did not rest for long before he ran out of the haunted house. After getting into the taxi, Chen Ge took out his phone to call Chonggu's number, but strangely enough, there was no answer. Did something happen to him? The Mid-Autumn Festival was coming, and the air conditioner had prepared a batch of mooncake gift boxes for everyone. The lucky draw would start at 11 p.m., and everyone who won would get a mooncake gift box. Follow the WeChat account, I know how to repair the air conditioner, to try your luck.
Staring at the number on the phone, Chen Ge fell into deep thought. The red specter Chiume, who can travel between the movie and reality, is still inside the comic. Could it be that Chong Ji-yu has abandoned her and run away? Even though Chen Ge had not spent that much time with Chong Ji-yu, he could sense that Chong Ji-yu was not a cowardly person. How could a man who swapped the ghost eye with his body to save his sister abandon a red specter and run away? Has he run into something that he cannot solve? Is it because my arrival has given him a sense of danger? He hailed a taxi to Yongling Mountain Holiday Village. With his previous experience, this time, Chen Ge climbed over the wall with great familiarity. The clothes that were hanging out to dry last time haven't been put away. The trash around me hasn't changed either. Did Chong Ji-yu leave on the night I left? Chen Ge pressed the play button on the recorder to summon Xu Yin. With Xu Yin's accompaniment, he entered the dead man's theater for the second time. The door was open, and there was a musty smell in the air. The room was a mess. It felt like someone had been looking through the place before Chen Ge arrived. There are no footprints on the ground, and there is no dirt on the stage. The tapes have been moved, and all the movies backstage have been deleted. Chen Ge's observation was very detailed. He did not miss a single spot and inspected the whole theater. Yesterday, After I left, someone else came in. The person appeared to be looking for something inside the theater, but unfortunately, they returned empty-handed. Quote.
Chen Ge came to the theater's workshop. This place also shows signs of being searched. The person kept searching, which means that they haven't found what they are looking for. Turning on the projector, the login page required a password, and this password was only known to Chen Ge. If Chen Ge had been captured by them, then there would be no need for them to rummage through this place and mess everything up. Chen Ge did not know who the people who came after him were, but he had a feeling that they had already set their eyes on Chen Ge. It was just that they had been hiding in the dark and did not make a move. His sudden appearance that night had messed up their plans. That was why they acted immediately after he left. Chen Ge's biggest secret is the left eye that he obtained from Chang Wenyu, and the left eye was brought out by Chang Wenyu from the School of the Afterlife. The group of people's sudden visit, could it be because of the School of the Afterlife?
The easiest way to solve these puzzles was to find Chen Ge and ask him face to face. Chen Ge opened the comic and released Chiume. This unique red specter's eyes were filled with confusion, just like when she was first taken away.
Chen Ge has disappeared. Can you contact him? Chen Ge asked directly. There were only 20 hours left until the end of the School of the Afterlife mission, and every second was precious. Hearing that Chen Ge had disappeared, Chiume's expression changed instantly. Blood vessels surfaced on her face, and her empty eyes locked onto Chen Ge. Calm down, I'm trying to help you. Before Chiume got close, Xu Yin already stood before Chen Ge. Sticky blood dripped to the ground, and the whole theater was covered in a thin layer of blood.
Fear and anger mixed together, and Chiume's lips opened to scream shrilly.
Don't panic. If I'm not mistaken, your possession should be the left eye or the movie recording. Be it the recording or the left eye, they should be on Chen Ge now. Try to sense the location of your possession, and you should be able to find Chen Ge. Chen Ge repeated it many times before Chiume understood what Chen Ge meant. She closed her eyes, and her body started to fade. The blood vessels quickly disappeared. The whole process lasted for about 1 minute. When Chiume opened her eyes again, she rushed out of the theater.
Quick, follow her. Quote. Unable to communicate, Chen Ge could only use this method to find Chen Ge. Chiume soon left Yongling Mountain Resort. She turned away from the road and headed deeper into Yongling Mountain.
After chasing for a whole hour, Chiume finally stopped. Before her was a small house that belonged to a forest ranger. Chen Ge is hiding here? Chen Ge knocked on the door and whispered, Chen Ge? I'm Chen Ge, the person who accompanied you to the movie that night. I brought Chiume back.
To prove himself, Chen Ge had Chiume enter the wooden house first.
Moments later, the door opened, and a thin and haggard Chen Ge appeared at the door in old clothes. Come in. He held a hatchet in his hand, and there were many wounds on his arms and legs. He was probably scratched by the branches and thorns when he was running. Why are you hiding here? After I left that night, did someone go to the resort again? Chen Ge studied the wooden house. It was furnished with various daily necessities and clean water. This should be the escape route that Chen Ge had prepared for himself. Nodding lightly, Chen Ge stood at the door with the hatchet. He looked tired, but there was not much panic on his face.
Who are those people? Why would they want to harm you? Chen Ge was more curious about this. In the whole of Zhujiang, other than himself, no one should be interested in the door.
They are also a group of pitiful people. Chen Ge sighed. My sister Chang Wenyu's situation is not an isolated case. But Chang Wenyu is the only one who has woken up. Some of their children are still unconscious, and some have passed away.
It's the parents who are looking for things in the projection room. What is going on? Quote. There is more than one person who entered the School of the Afterlife, but based on what I know, the only exception is Wenyu, so the parents of those students want to get clues from me. Chen Ge dragged his tired body to sit on the chair. Their intention was good, but they used the wrong method. If they followed the path that I was exploring, they would fall into the abyss together.
He took a sip of the water on the table. Everything that I shoot in the movie is real. About 10 years ago, I realized that my sister was very abnormal, like there was another soul residing in her body. Therefore, I started to investigate, and then I realized that my sister often talked to herself like she was talking to someone, and then Chen Ge's fists tightened. To prevent this secret from being leaked, the soul inside her body killed everyone in the family.
At this point, Chen Ge could not continue. Veins popped on his forehead. After a while, he calmed down. I was lucky enough to escape, but after that, I did not dare return to that family anymore. That was until one day, I accidentally ran into Chiume. After slowly getting to know her, I realized that the evil spirit inside Wenyu had already found a substitute, and the scariest thing was, the substitute would go and find its own substitute. The eye was like a recurring nightmare.
His voice was shaking. After a long time, Chen Ge continued. Chiume was an exception. Even though she was killed by the substitute, even though she was filled with hatred toward many things, she still maintained the most basic humanity. She was not corrupted by the left eye, and she resisted the temptation of the devil. The nightmare of reincarnation ended with her, and she lived in my sister's body for several years. Her kindness gave me a bold idea. I tried to replace the left eye with myself and use it to search for my sister's soul. Unfortunately, the surgery failed. Both of my eyes were damaged, and I could only occasionally see special things. That is my story. Chen Ge's life was a tragedy, but this tragedy happened because of the school of the afterlife. This school took away his little sister and indirectly caused the death of his parents.
For Chen Ge, the school of the afterlife was just a mission, but for Chen Ge, this school was a cage that trapped him for the rest of his life. He wanted to know the secret of the school of the afterlife more than Chen Ge, and that was one of the reasons Chen Ge had chosen to cooperate with him.
After hearing Chen Ge's story, there was still a trace of confusion in Chen Ge's heart. But what does this have to do with those parents? Why would they target you? Initially, I didn't know that Chang Wenyu's case was an isolated case. I investigated in secret through various channels and visited many families who were involved in the accident. I asked them about what happened to them and tried to find clues to help them and save myself. Unfortunately, I thought too simply of human nature. Humans can abandon their humanity for the sake of hatred, and they can do anything for the sake of love. They gradually stopped cooperating with my investigation, and instead, they wanted to extract everything from me. They even wanted to dig out my left eye. Chang Ji did not go into detail, but it was definitely not a happy memory, or else he would not have been hiding under the protection of a red specter. If I still have the strength after I find my little sister, I will definitely help them, but the reality is that my eyes are almost completely blind. Dragging this half-dead body, I cannot even protect myself, so how can I help them? Chang Gu's voice grew louder. Only in this old house deep in the forest did he dare to express his emotions like this. You've done a good job. Chen Ge leaned against the door. He wanted to say something else, but he was interrupted by Chang Ji. Actually, I've been hesitating about something. I need to make a decision before I lose my sight completely. Chang Ji faced Chen Ge and opened his eyes. His right eye was completely white, and his left eye looked no different from a normal person's eye. However, upon closer inspection, the place where the eyeball connected to the eye socket was filled with blood vessels. I've been hesitating before, but your arrival has strengthened my confidence. I can't drag this any longer. What does this have to do with me? Did I provoke you? Chen Ge didn't know what he had done wrong. Don't be rash. We're partners now. If there's anything, we can discuss it. You can't help me with this. If you don't say it, how do you know I don't have a solution? Even if I can't, I still have a bunch of friends and brothers. You saw them the other night. Speaking of what happened that night, Chang Gu's face turned green. He thought about it for a long time before he said, after the eye transplant surgery, the vision in my right eye worsened, and I couldn't see anything with my left eye. Every day, it brought me endless pain, and I had to endure it. Until one day, I was woken up by pain in my sleep. In my half-awake state, I saw a door. To get a clearer look, I subconsciously closed my left eye and used my right eye to look. But what surprised me was that when I closed my left eye, the hazy door disappeared. Chang Ji was agitated. He shouted at Chen Ge, "Do you know what that means? You saw that door with your left eye?" "Yes. I saw a door with my sister's eye." When Chen Ge said that, veins popped on his face, and his eyes bulged like they would fall out at any moment. It was very scary. What did the door look like? Was it blood red, and there were blood vessels surging on it? When Chen Ge mentioned the word door, Chen Ge's attention was highly focused. The word door had a very special meaning for him. Blood red. Chen Ge shook his head. The door that I saw was just a very normal door, but when I fully woke up, the door disappeared. A very normal door? Did you see that door again? Chen Ge had no idea why the door that Chen Ge saw was different from the blood door. I did, but I only saw it when I was half asleep. I tried to get close to it, but once I woke up, the door would disappear. Based on what you said, even if I could see the door, it would be useless. That's what I thought at first, but then I realized something strange. The distance between me and the door was getting closer and closer. It felt like it was trying to suck me into it. Chen Ge's voice became very scary. Several months ago, the door had already reached my bedside. Whenever I woke up from my dream, my left eye would see the door standing next to my bed. I only needed to raise my hand to push open the door and enter it. Chen Ge gasped for air. This should be his deepest secret. I have no idea where the door leads to, and I have no idea what is behind it. I have been afraid, but now I don't want to run anymore. Since this door is seen by my left eye, the school of the afterlife is probably behind the door. Chen Ge's words shocked Chen Ge, but he soon calmed down. He had entered the world behind the door before, and more than once. He had seen many doors, but all of them were blood red in color. Your speculation is logical, but I have a feeling that the school of the afterlife is not behind the door. We need to discuss this further. Chen Ge had not come into contact with a 4-star scenario before, and he did not know the difference between a 3-star scenario and a 4-star scenario, so he was not sure that the door of a 4-star scenario would be blood red. I don't have time anymore. Chen Ge raised his hand to his left eye. He flipped his eyelids slightly. The place where the eyeball connected to the eye socket had all died, and it was only held together by black and red blood vessels. Fine, since you insist on trying, I won't stop you. I just hope that you can agree to a small request of mine. Chen Ge did not have much time left. There were only 20 hours left until the deadline for the 4-star mission. What is it? When you enter the door tonight, I wish to stay by your side to prevent any accidents from happening. Don't reject me so quickly. This is the last thing I can do for you. Chen Ge was sincere, and his eyes were sincere. Tonight, Chen Ge was taken aback, but he still agreed readily. No problem, tonight it is. When Chen Ge agreed, the black phone in Chen Ge's pocket suddenly vibrated. He turned to take out the phone to look at the new message. Congratulations, Spectre's favored, congratulations for gaining Chen Ge's trust. The third part of the left Oculus mission has been unlocked. Warning: this mission is filled with uncertainties. It might trigger serious consequences, so please choose carefully. Looking at the message on the black phone, Chen Ge's heart raced. He looked at it several times. This mission is so strange. The content of the mission is filled with question marks, and the warning states that it is filled with uncertainties. Most importantly, it warns me to choose carefully, but it doesn't even list out a single option. Putting the black phone away, Chen Ge had an indescribable worry in his heart. You don't look so good. Chen Ge poured a glass of water for Chen Ge. I'm fine. You should go to sleep. I'll stay by your side. Chen Ge summoned Xu Yin back into the recorder and moved a chair to sit at the door. Thank you. Chen Ge lay down on the bed and covered himself with a towel. Time passed slowly. 2 hours later, Chen Ge still did not fall asleep. Perhaps I'm too nervous. I don't feel sleepy at all. Being stared at like that, no one would be able to fall asleep. How about I go down the mountain to get you some sleeping pills? Never mind, the round trip will take at least 3 hours, and the pharmacy is already closed. Once Chen Ge thought about the door that he was going to open that night, he did not feel sleepy at all. Perhaps it's because there are strangers around. I'll go stand guard outside. Relax. Chen Ge opened the door and walked out. The insects danced around. Chen Ge tossed and turned, but he still could not sleep. He glanced at his watch several times, and it was already 2 a.m. My body is so tired, but I can't sleep, this is so weird. He tossed and turned until dawn, but Chen Ge still could not sleep. He walked out of the wooden hut with embarrassment and realized that Chen Ge had been guarding the door for the whole night. I'm sorry, I don't know why I can't sleep. It's fine. Chen Ge was not in a good state either. He was worried that he would miss the moment Chen Ge pushed open the door, so he had been in a highly nervous state. Looks like I'll have to wait until tonight. Chen Ge, try not to sleep in the morning. I'll come and find you at night. Okay. Chen Ge felt guilty for letting Chen Ge guard his door for the whole night. The two agreed to meet that night, and then Chen Ge left with Chiume. It was not that he wanted to use Chiume as a hostage, but he did not know the way back. After walking for 40 minutes, Chen Ge exited Yongling Mountain. He pulled Chiume back into the comic and hailed a cab to get to New Century Park. At 8:30 a.m., Chen Ge returned to the park. All the employees were already there, and they were very enthusiastic about their work. Come, let's go do our makeup. Without stopping, after Chen Ge helped all the employees with their makeup, he started to inspect the various scenarios. He busied himself until the park was open for business. However, just as he entered the staff break room, before his head touched the pillow, he was pulled away by Shu Shu. The theme park was about to welcome its peak season, and Chen Ge's haunted house was the most important promotion, so Director Luo had many things to discuss with him. From the most basic theme park slogan to the advertisements on various channels to the layout of Xinhai's haunted house, the two discussed for the whole morning. Director Luo hoped that Chen Ge's haunted house would cooperate with the theme park's promotion and introduce a brand new scenario. This was the same as Chen Ge, but due to the uniqueness of the School of the Afterlife mission, Chen Ge did not agree to it directly but said that he needed time to think about it. After lunch, the two finally came up with two plans, the best plan and the backup plan. Chen Ge had spent the whole night in the mountain and then spent the whole morning discussing the future promotion plan with Director Luo. He was very tired. He did not even have time for lunch. Chen Ge just wanted to return to the staff break room to have a good sleep, but before he reached the haunted house, he was bothered by something. Mr. Chen, a familiar voice came from behind him. When Chen Ge turned to look, he was surprised. Ku Changgelin, the mannequin genius from Nightmare Academy, had appeared at his haunted house. After our last meeting, I asked for your information from my colleagues and then went online to look up your story. Ku Changgelin's expression was complicated, and this made Chen Ge uneasy. The man was not that gullible. What did your colleagues say? In just a few months, you managed to turn a haunted house that was about to close into the most popular haunted house on the market and had the most daily visitors. You have created a miracle. You're the most impressive haunted house operator that I have ever met. To be praised by you, I am very happy. I am not lying. All of your abilities are better than a normal haunted house worker, and you have a talent in mannequin making. You deserve a better stage to show yourself. Since the man had come to him, naturally, Chen Ge would not let him go. Compared to the information on the internet, you are much kinder and more understanding in real life. I will remember everything that you said to me that day. You have helped me regain my confidence. I can do better, and I can live a better life. Ku Changgelin did not treat Chen Ge as an enemy. No matter how he looked at it, Chen Ge was helping him, and everything he said was out of consideration for him. You didn't come here just to thank me, did you? The sun shone on Chen Ge's face, and his smile was bright and full of energy. Mr. Chen, I wish to interview for your haunted house. I wish to learn more things here. Ku Changgelin hesitated for a long time before finally saying that. A person will make many choices in their life, and today, you have made the right choice that will change your life. Chen Ge led Ku Changgelin into the haunted house and handed him the employee handbook. Do I need to memorize everything? Just memorize it. You have many years of experience and talent, all you lack is a stage. Chen Ge led Ku Changgelin to the entrance of the Night of the Living Dead scenario. This scenario was located on the first floor of the haunted house, and it had been empty. Since there were more than enough scenarios underground, Chen Ge had not bothered with it. From now on, you will be in charge of designing this scenario. I wish to see the limit of your ability. Chen Ge and Ku Changgelin stood at the entrance. This scenario was much bigger than Ku Changlin's original toilet, and the environment was much better. I've just arrived here, and I don't know anything, and you dare hand me such a large scenario? Mr. Chen, I've never been in charge of such a large scenario before, and this scenario is on the first floor. The first thing the visitors will see when they enter is this scenario. If you don't do it right, it will leave a bad impression on the visitors, and it might even ruin your haunted house's reputation. Ku Changlin was really panicking. When he arrived, he had thought of many possibilities, but this was the first one he had considered. It's fine if you don't believe in your ability, as long as I believe in your ability, that's enough. Chen Ge patted Ku Changlin on his shoulder. Just do it. This is also a test for you. Chen Ge had actually thought things through. His haunted house had too many secrets, and it was not time for Ku Changlin to know them yet, so he decided to let him modify this abandoned scenario first. You're best at making mannequins. I have the number of the boss of a modeling studio. If you need anything, you can contact him directly. Just give him my name. The scenario expanded by the black phone was empty. He would need a large number of mannequins in the future, and he would not be able to make them alone. Therefore, he needed an employee to help him, and Ku Changlin had this talent. By the way, how much do you think it will cost to modify this scenario? How much? Modification would definitely cost money, so Ku Changlin was very careful. He walked around the scenario for almost half an hour before he hesitantly walked to Chen Ge's side. He said, "This scenario is based on a zombie theme, and the internal props and models are very old. I wish to change everything and design it according to my own idea." At this point, he sneaked a glance at Chen Ge. Seeing that Chen Ge did not show any sign of impatience, he continued. "I've done some calculations, and at the very least, it will cost 3,000 RMB. After giving that number, Ku Changlin was worried that Chen Ge would reject him, so he sneaked another glance at the man. After all, when he was at Nightmare Academy, he wanted to spend an extra 100 RMB to modify the mannequins, but even his own boss would not agree. "I'll prepare 13,000 for you. If that's not enough, I still have more. I only have one request for you," Chen Ge said casually. "Try your best to make this scenario as good as you can." 13,000. Ku Changlin nodded quickly. Actually, Chen Ge also wanted to see what the limit of a normal person was and how different it would be compared to the scenario on the black phone. Ku Changlin soon started to get busy in the scenario that he was responsible for. He threw himself into the work, and his mental state was very different from when he was at Nightmare Academy. He has talent, and he is the most professional actor at my haunted house other than Xu Wan, but I still can't trust him completely. To fully become a member of the haunted house, he will have to go through many trials. Chen Ge did not go anywhere else that afternoon. He stayed at the Night of the Living Dead scenario to listen to Ku Changlin's design and concept. At the same time, he told the man some things that were not in the worker's manual to help him integrate into the haunted house as soon as possible. At around 6 p.m., the haunted house closed for the day. After sending off the last batch of visitors, Chen Ge did not introduce Ku Changlin to the other employees but had him leave first. After he left, Chen Ge held a simple meeting and gave some instructions before letting everyone leave. He was the only living person left at the haunted house. He used the broom to clean the place alone. He walked through all the scenarios before sitting on the steps at the entrance of the haunted house. The sky was already dark, and the theme park was quiet. Chen Ge took out the black phone and fell into deep thought as he looked at the countdown on it. There are still 4.5 hours until the end of the mission. Chen Ge did not want to give up just like that, but if he forced himself to do it, the chance of him coming back alive was not high. He hesitated until 8 p.m. when he received a call from Chen Ge. "Chen Ge, I'm at Zhujiang Mental Illness Center, come quickly." Chen Ge did not give the reason. His voice was urgent, and after saying that, he hung up. Why would Chen Ge be at a mental hospital? How did he, a man who was almost completely blind, get there? Is he being held hostage? Putting the phone away, Chen Ge carried the backpack that he had prepared and slowly stood up. "I'll put the School of the Afterlife mission aside for now. I'll make my decision after I meet up with Chen Ge." He left the theme park and hailed a cab to head to Zhujiang Mental Illness Center.
There were 3 normal mental hospitals in Zhujiang, and coincidentally, Chen Ge had been to all 3 of them.
Entering the lobby, Chen Ge crawled into a corner that was less crowded. He opened the comic to summon Chu Mei. "Hey, what are you doing?" Before Chen Ge could communicate with Chu Mei, he was seen by a doctor. "It's too late. If you want to visit the patient, come back tomorrow." "I'm not here to visit the patient." Chen Ge slowly turned around, and his brain was racing to come up with a solution.
"Then, you're here to see the patient." When the doctor saw Chen Ge's face, he was shocked. "It's you." Chen Ge recognized the man. When he used Li Zheng's name to investigate Zhang Xiaohu at the mental hospital, he had met this doctor. Even though he had forgotten the doctor's name, he remembered the man's face.
"Did Inspector Li send you here again?" The doctor did not expect to see Chen Ge again.
Nodding, Chen Ge said softly, "I want to ask you about someone." "Who?" "His name is Chong Ji-yu. I don't think there is anyone with that name among the patients."
"Then, is there such a person among the patients who came to visit the patient? He has poor eyesight, and one of his eyes only has white." If such a unique person appeared, the nurses in the on-call room should have an impression of him. "Wait a moment, I'll go to the on-call room to ask."
When they arrived at the duty room, when the doctor mentioned Chonggu's physical characteristics, the staff member immediately remembered. They came this evening to visit a patient who was in a deep coma.
"Them? Yes, apart from the blind man. There are 2 men and a woman. I don't know what their relationship is, but I feel that the atmosphere between them is very strange. They don't seem to be familiar with each other." The staff answered truthfully for the sake of the doctor. "Where are they now?" After visiting the patient, they left, but there was something strange. The staff thought for a moment before saying, "The 2 men and the woman returned half an hour after they left. They asked me if I had seen the blind man. They seemed to have gotten separated, so I helped them look for him in the hospital." Chen Ge roughly understood what had happened. Chong Ji-yu had been found by the parents, and due to certain reasons, he had been sent to the mental hospital. After visiting the patients, Chong Ji-yu had taken advantage of the chaos to escape.
"Brother, which patient did they come to visit today? Can you take me there to have a look?"
Quote. The staff looked at the doctor. After getting the doctor's approval, he dared to agree. "Okay, I'll take you there." They walked out of the building and came to a quarantine area behind the mental hospital. Chen Ge had seen this kind of quarantine area before. It was usually used to treat patients with high risk. The patient they visited is called Chong Wenyu. She is a vegetable, and she has been staying here for many years. She doesn't seem to have any family, but every month, someone would send money to pay for her stay. The staff had a deep impression of this Chong Wenyu. "She's just a vegetable. Why would you lock her up in the quarantine area? She won't hurt anyone." Chen Ge was curious. "Even though she is a vegetable and has been in a coma for a long time, as long as you get too close to this female patient, strange things will happen." The staff still wanted to say something, but the doctor next to him suddenly coughed and interrupted the staff.
"I've heard of this patient, Chong Wenyu. After the attending doctor examined her body, he found that her cranial nerves and neurological functions are completely normal. She doesn't look like she is in a coma, more like hibernation, or perhaps deep sleep is more appropriate," the doctor explained to Chen Ge.
"What is deep sleep?" You can understand it simply as the patient is having a dream that she is unable to wake up from. The doctor did not seem to want to discuss this topic further with Chen Ge, so he picked up his pace. "We're here. This is the place." The quarantine area at Zhujiang Mental Illness Center was different from the one at the 3rd Sick Hall. It was more humane. There were no high walls or iron bars, but there was a sign that said, "No entry," at the door. After entering the quarantine area, Chen Ge felt something was wrong. The temperature of this building was much lower than the other one, and it was much quieter. There was not a single sound, like they were the only living people in the building. Walking down the corridor, the confusion in Chen Ge's heart deepened.
Normally, the more dangerous a patient was, the deeper they would be sent to. Chong Wenyu was just an unconscious vegetable, but her room was at the deepest part of the building.
"Can I enter the room to take a look?" The door was not locked. Without waiting for the doctor's permission, Chen Ge pushed the door open. The room was large, and there were 3 beds, but only the bed in the middle was occupied. Walking to the bed, what entered Chen Ge's eyes was a face that was filled with a unique beauty. The patient's information on the bedside said that the woman was almost 30, but her face looked like a teenage girl. Time seemed to have forgotten about this woman. Maturity and sweetness intertwined together, like a glass of fragrant red wine or a glass of milk tea with ice cubes added to it. Unfortunately, the woman's left eye had been removed, and only a black eye socket was left. It ruined the beauty of her face, making her look sick and different from the rest. She is Chong Wenyu. The patient in bed was completely different from the Chong Wenyu that Chen Ge had imagined. Time had not left any trace on her. Moving his eyes down, Chen Ge realized that the bedsheet was dangling to the ground, and the corner of the cover was pulled back to reveal the bandage underneath.
This is. Chen Ge pulled back the cover, but it was too late for the doctor to stop him.
Under the thin cover, Chong Wenyu's arms and legs were all tied to the bed by the bandage. Why would you use the bandage on a vegetable? Is she going to get up? Chen Ge felt even more suspicious. He stared at the doctor, waiting for an explanation. Knowing that he could not escape, the doctor finally said, "Actually, it's not that big of a deal. Some of the workers saw her appear in the corridor during the night shift, and at the time, they thought they had seen a ghost." "Your people have seen her walk down the corridor on her own?" "Yes, more than once, but the surveillance never recorded it, and every time they saw her, it was after midnight. The weirdest thing was, as long as we were observing her in the dark, she would not move. We would only run into her when no one was paying attention." The doctor nudged the worker next to him forward. He only saw her once. There were more male nurses at the mental hospital, and they were the main force of the night shift.
"I saw her once. At the time, it was at the door of the toilet. I was washing my hands when I saw another figure reflected in the mirror. She walked past me from behind.
At the time, I was scared out of my wits. I screamed for help, but when I calmed down and chased after her, she had already disappeared. When I returned to the room, I realized she was still lying in bed." Thinking back to that experience, the worker's heart fluttered. Could it be someone else? "Are you sure it was her that you saw?" Chen Ge used his mind to think about it. Perhaps another mental patient has disguised as her, or perhaps something else has appeared at night.
Cough cough. The doctor kept coughing. He had a feeling that if he did not interrupt Chen Ge, his nurses would not be able to work the night shift anymore.
From our perspective, the most likely explanation is sleepwalking. However, the most unique thing about this patient is that she is in a vegetative state. No one knows what she is seeing when she is in a deep coma, or what she is experiencing at the moment. Therefore, we cannot use the traditional method to treat her, so we can only tie her up like this for now. Then after you tied her up, did you not see her again during the night shift? Chen Ge had a feeling that things were not that simple, but no matter how he asked, both the doctor and the male nurse insisted that ever since they tied up Chong Wenyu, she had not shown up at midnight. The hospital probably had a unified statement, and all the symptoms were related to sleepwalking. After all, Chong Wenyu was in a deep coma, and she could not feel anything, she could not resist, so in the end, it was the hospital's decision. Seeing that he could not get anything out of her, Chen Ge prepared to leave. The most important thing now was to find Chong Jiyu. Just as he was about to pull the thin cover over the bed, he suddenly saw a hand reach out from under the bed.
The 5 fingers poked out from the bottom of the bed, and the hand appeared to be trying to grab Chen Ge.
There was dirt stuck between the nails, and there were scratches from branches on the back of the hand. When Chen Ge saw this hand, the first thing that came to his mind was Chong Jiyu. The most dangerous place was the safest place. The parents, who kidnapped Chong Jiyu, would not have guessed that he had not gone anywhere but had been hiding inside the hospital room. When other people saw a hand suddenly reach out from under the bed, even if they did not scream, at least their expression would change slightly. However, Chen Ge was very calm from beginning to end.
He used his leg to block Chong Gu's hand, took a light step forward, and used the back of his shoe to push Chong Gu's hand under the bed. Then he said directly, "Gentlemen, I'm here to investigate a murder case. The situation that you have described is very similar to the murder scene." When he heard the word murder,
The male nurse's face paled instantly. He often worked the night shift, so he was already very afraid.
This doctor should know about my relationship with the Zhejiang police. Let's not beat around the bush. Tonight, I wish to stand guard outside this room. I have a very important hypothesis that needs to be verified. If it was someone else who said that, they would have been chased out by the doctor already, but Chen Ge was different. This doctor was familiar with Li Zheng, and he often heard stories about Chen Ge from Li Zheng.
It is too dangerous for you to stay at the quarantine zone alone. The doctor shook his head. That's right. Us nurses on night shift rarely come here. The male nurse thought that Chen Ge was not reliable. What kind of person would come to a mental hospital at night and say that he wanted to stand guard? That was not the rule.
How about this? The doctor thought about it for a long time. He turned to the male nurse next to him and said, Xiao Zhu, accompany him at the quarantine zone tonight. Also, give Huang Wei a call and ask him to come over.
Ah, I will accompany him? The male nurse could not believe what he had just heard.
Keep an eye on him at night. If there is anything that you can't make up your mind about, call me immediately.
I will be in my office. Being a psychiatrist was actually very tiring. Many people would think that there were so many patients. Actually, if one went to a normal mental hospital, one would realize that the sick rooms there were always crowded. Some patients could only sleep in the corridor. Normally, a doctor had to take care of many patients at the same time, and it was normal for them to work overtime. After the doctor left, Chen Ge felt much more relaxed. Perhaps it was because Dr. Gao had left such a deep impression on him that whenever he was around these psychiatrists or psychologists, he would always feel uncomfortable. Just wait outside. I have something to say to that woman. She is in a deep coma. No matter what you say, she will not be able to hear you, the male nurse reminded him. It's fine. Chen Ge entered the room and stood next to the bed. Looking at the unconscious Chang Wenyu, he said softly, I hope you can sleep tonight. I will stay by your side to watch over you. If that door appears again, I will try my best to help you.
In Xiao Zhu's eyes, Chen Ge was not a normal person at all. Thinking about how he was going to spend a night with someone like this, his scalp went numb. His pants were pulled. Chen Ge knew that this was Chang Gu's response. He did not leave but lay down on the other bed. The left eye came from that school, so it should be able to see the things inside that school. The reason why Chen Ge helped Chang Jiyu was simple. He just wanted to see what the school of the afterlife was like. If the danger level was far higher than he expected, then he would have to give up on the mission. Chen Ge lowered his head to look at the time on his phone. It was 10 p.m. There were still 2 hours until the deadline for the school of the afterlife. Staring at Chang Wenyu's bed, Chen Ji's attention was highly focused.
Just like that, several minutes passed, and drowsiness washed over him. He had not slept for more than 36 hours. Holding the phone, the scene before Chen Ji's eyes started to blur. The room suddenly became quiet. Xiao Zhu stood at the door and saw Chen Ge lying motionlessly in bed. He had no idea what he was doing. Such a strange person. He sat on the bench in the corridor and leaned against the wall. Even he was getting sleepy.
P.S. Mid-autumn is coming. The air conditioner has prepared a batch of mooncake gift boxes for everyone. The lucky draw will start at 11 p.m., and everyone who wins will get a mooncake gift box. Remember to follow the public account. I know how to fix the air conditioner, to try your luck. A strange sound came from somewhere in the room. It sounded like a small bug crawling past his ear. Chen Ji's eyelids fluttered. In his half-awake state, he saw the white light on the black phone. He had received a new message. Since he had not clicked on it, he could only read the first sentence of the message. Warning. An unexpected change has occurred to the left oculus mission, 4-star scenario, School of the Afterlife. His head felt heavy like something heavy was pressing down on him. Chen Ge wanted to turn his body to touch the phone, but when he lifted his head, he saw a door standing between two beds. There were 5 fingers on the doorknob. As the fingers pushed, the normal-looking door was pushed open. A shadow crawled out from underneath the bed. He only needed to lean forward before his body was pulled into the door. Chang Ji-yu, Chen Ji's body was unable to move.
It felt like he was being held down by a ghost or something else. He could hear the familiar voice coming from behind the door. Someone was calling his name again and again. At the same time, he could hear several different voices calling him from his shadow like they were trying to wake him up. Am I dreaming? Waking up in the middle of the night to find a door standing next to his bed, and the door was slowly moving toward him. Anyone would be flustered in that situation. Chen Ge wanted to scream, he wanted to struggle, but he soon realized that he could not do anything. He could not even bite his own tongue. He watched helplessly as the door closed in. A few hands reached out from inside the door and grabbed his neck and head. At the last moment, a scream came from Chen Ge's shadow, and his body recovered some of its energy. Before he could do anything else, Chen Ge gripped the black phone tightly in his palm. Then, he was dragged into the world behind the door that even his yin-yang vision could not see through. The door slowly closed, and the last thing Chen Ge saw was the backpack that he had placed on the bed and Chong Wenyu, who was standing beside his bed. She reached her hand into Chen Ge's backpack and took out the diary that she had taken from the basement at Nightmare Academy. The pale fingers flipped the diary to the last page. The empty eyes stared at the blank page. There was no expression on her face. She was like a doll that had lost its soul. The last ray of light disappeared, and the door closed completely. Shaolin? Lin Cece? Wake up, the teacher is here? Someone patted his shoulder. Chen Ge slowly opened his eyes. He was lying on top of a table. Without saying anything, the first thing Chen Ge did was bite on the tip of his tongue. The taste of blood seeped into his taste buds, and the pain stimulated his brain. This is not a dream. Maintaining his original posture, Chen Ge's head turned slightly, and his eyes narrowed as he looked around. This was a rather old classroom. It was smaller than a normal classroom. The paint on the tables and chairs was peeling, and there were many different kinds of words carved on them. The fan above his head turned, and it creaked noisily like it was going to fall at any moment. The dark blue curtains were thick, and after they were drawn, it was impossible to see outside the window. There were about 10 students sitting in the room. It was worth noting that these students were of different ages. Some looked young, like they were still in middle school, but some looked like they were almost 30. Shaolin, have you woken up from your sleep? The voice came from the seat next to Chen Ge. The one who spoke was a normal-looking boy. His voice was thin, like he was squeezing his throat to speak. After a long time, Chen Ge turned to look at his deskmate. His dark eyes were pulsing in their sockets, and his gaze was rather scary. What did you call me earlier, Shaolin? What's wrong? Didn't you say the name Lin Cece sounds like a girl, and that's why you told me to call you that? Shaolin. Recently, Chen Ge had only seen this name in one place, inside the toilet at Nightmare Academy. The poor student who was teamed up by all the students due to his love of pranks. His name was Shaolin. All the scenarios at Nightmare Academy were replicated from the diary. Chen Ge did not take a close look at the diary that he had taken out from Nightmare Academy's basement. Perhaps the name Shaolin was recorded in the diary, and Ku Changlin had copied it directly. Could it be the same person? Many things crossed Chen Ge's mind at that moment. The diary at Nightmare Academy was bought by Shangguan Qinghong from a mother. Her child is the real owner of the diary. Now that I think about it, her child fell into a deep coma and suddenly woke up one day. After revealing the location of the diary, he mysteriously died. This child's situation is quite similar to Chong Wenyu's. They are probably both people who have entered the school of the afterlife, but Chong Wenyu brought out a left eye while the child brought out a diary. Quote, the school of the afterlife was definitely not a good place. The male student died soon after he brought out the diary, and Chong Wenyu had it even worse. Her body was taken over by the left eye, and her soul was nowhere to be found. My deskmate called me Shaolin. Have I become the owner of the diary? There were so few clues that he could not come to a conclusion. Chen Ge could only list out all the possibilities to give himself some direction to think about. Leaning on the table, Chen Ge did not show any reaction, and he did not ask his deskmate any more questions. Everything around him was unknown. If he opened his mouth to ask, it would only make the deskmate feel weird and increase their suspicion. This does not appear to be a dream. Chen Ge remembered very clearly that he had run to Chang Wenyu's sick room that night to help Chang Jiyu explore the door that could only be seen by his left eye, but there seemed to have been an accident on the way. The door that could be seen by his left eye had indeed appeared. After the person under the bed pushed the door open, everything went out of control.
He was unable to fully wake up. His ears could hear two voices at the same time, one coming from inside the door, and the other coming from the shadow. One wanted him to enter the door, and the other wanted to wake him up.
I finally understand why there is a special warning in the introduction of the left oculus on the black phone. There are too many variables in this mission. Thinking about the black phone, Chen Ge quickly rummaged through his pockets, but to his surprise, the black phone that he had been holding in his palm had disappeared.
He only found an old-fashioned flip phone in his pocket, and the phone had a password set. Before he knew the password, he would not be able to see the content on the phone.
It was like a bucket of cold water had been poured over him. Chen Ge was still lying on the table. Throughout the whole process, he did not show any sign of abnormality, but his heart was already in turmoil. The things in my backpack and that diary are all outside the door, and now even the black phone has disappeared. What should I do next? There were too many things that Chen Ge could not confirm. He did not even know whether he was in Chang Wenyu's dream or the 4-star scenario, School of the Afterlife. A strange sound came from a corner of the room like a small bug was crawling past his ear.
Chen Ge's eyelids fluttered. In his half-awake state, he saw the white light on the black phone.
He had received a new message. Since he had not clicked on it, he could only read the first sentence of the message. Warning. An unexpected change has occurred to the left oculus mission. 4-star scenario, School of the Afterlife.
His head felt heavy like something heavy was pressing down on his body. Chen Ge wanted to turn his body to touch the phone, but when he lifted his head, he saw a door standing between two beds.
There were 5 fingers on the doorknob. As the fingers pulled, the normal-looking door was pushed open. A shadow crawled out from underneath the bed. He only needed to lean forward before his body was pulled into the door. Chang Jiyu, Chen Ge could not move his body. It felt like he was being held down by a ghost or something else. He could hear familiar voices coming from behind the door. Someone was calling his name over and over again. At the same time, he could hear a few other voices calling him from his shadow, as if trying to wake him up. Am I dreaming? Waking up in the middle of the night to find a door standing next to his bed, and the door was slowly moving toward him. Anyone would have panicked in that situation.
Chen Ge wanted to scream and struggle, but he soon realized that he could not do anything. He could not even bite his own tongue.
He watched as the door closed in on him. Several hands reached out from behind the door to grab his neck and head.
At the last moment, a scream came from Chen Ge's shadow, and his body recovered some of its energy.
Without any time to react, Chen Ge gripped the black phone tightly in his palm. Then, he was dragged into the world behind the door that even his yin-yang vision could not see through.
The door slowly closed, and the last thing Chen Ge saw was the backpack that he had placed on the bed and Chang Wenyu, who was standing beside his bed.
She reached into Chen Ge's backpack and took out the diary that she had taken from the basement of Nightmare Academy.
Her pale fingers flipped the diary to the last page. Her hollow eyes stared at the blank page. There was no expression on her face. She was like a puppet that had lost its soul.
The last ray of light disappeared, and the door closed completely.
Xiao Lin, Lin Cece. Stop sleeping. Teacher is here. Quote.
Someone patted his shoulder. Chen Ge slowly opened his eyes. At this time, he was lying on a desk.
Without saying anything, Chen Ge immediately bit the tip of his tongue. The fishy taste of blood seeped into his taste buds, and the pain stimulated his brain. Not a dream. Maintaining his original posture, Chen Ge turned his head slightly, narrowed his eyes, and scanned the surroundings.
This was an old classroom. It was smaller than a normal classroom. The paint on the tables and chairs was peeling, and there were all kinds of words carved on them. The fan above him turned, and it creaked noisily like it was going to fall at any moment. The dark blue curtains were thick, and once they were closed, one could not see outside the window at all.
There were about 10 students sitting inside the room. It was worth noting that these students were of different ages. Some looked young like they were still in middle school, but others looked like they were almost 30. Xiao Lin, have you woken up from your sleep? The voice came from the seat next to Chen Ge. The one who spoke was a normal-looking boy. His voice was thin like he was squeezing his throat to speak. After a long time, Chen Ge finally turned to look at his deskmate. His dark eyes were pulsing, and his gaze was scary.
What did you call me earlier, Xiao Lin? What's wrong? Didn't you say the name Lin Cece sounds like a girl, and that's why you told me to call you that? Xiao Lin, Chen Ge had only recently seen this name in one place. Inside the toilet at Nightmare Academy. The poor student who was tricked by all the students because of his love of pranks. His name was Xiao Lin. Everything inside Nightmare Academy was a replica of the scene inside the diary. Chen Ge had not read the diary that he had taken from Nightmare Academy's basement in detail. Perhaps the name Xiao Lin was recorded in the diary, and Ku Changolin had copied it directly. Could it be the same person? Many thoughts crossed Chen Ge's mind at that moment. The diary at Nightmare Academy was bought by Shangguan Qinghong from a mother. Her child is the real owner of the diary. Now that I think about it, her child fell into a deep coma and suddenly woke up one day. He died mysteriously after revealing the location of the diary. The child's situation is similar to Chong Wenyu's. They have probably been to the school of the afterlife, but Chong Wenyu brought out a left eye while the child brought out a diary. Quote, the school of the afterlife was definitely not a good place. The male student died soon after he brought out the diary, and Chong Wenyu had it worse. Her body had been taken over by the left eye, and her soul had disappeared. The deskmate called me Xiao Lin. Have I become the owner of the diary? There were few clues, and it was impossible to speculate. Chen Ge could only list out all the possibilities to give himself some direction to think about. Leaning on the table, Chen Ge did not show any reaction, and he did not ask his deskmate any more questions. Everything around him was unknown. If he opened his mouth to ask, it would only make the other person feel weird and increase their suspicion. This does not appear to be a dream. Chen Ge remembered very clearly that he had run to Chong Wenyu's sick room that night to help Chong Jiyu explore the door that could only be seen by the left eye, but there had been an accident. The door that could be seen by the left eye had indeed appeared. After the person under the bed pushed the door open, everything had gone out of control. He was unable to fully wake up. His ears heard two voices at the same time, one coming from inside the door, and the other coming from the shadow. One wanted him to enter the door, and the other wanted to wake him up. I finally understand why the black phone's mission description for the left oculus has a special warning. There are too many variables in this mission. Thinking about the black phone, Chen Ge quickly looked through his pockets, but to his surprise, the black phone that he had been holding in his palm had disappeared. He found an old-fashioned flip phone in his pocket, and the phone had a password set. Before he knew the password, he would not be able to see the content on the phone. As if someone had poured a bucket of cold water on him, Chen Ge was still leaning on the table. Throughout the whole process, he did not show any abnormality, but his heart was in turmoil. The things in my backpack and the diary are all outside the door, and now even the black phone has disappeared. What should I do next? There were too many things that Chen Ge could not confirm. He did not even know whether he was in Chong Wenyu's dream or the 4-star scenario, School of the Afterlife. For more thrilling fanfiction stories like this, check out my channel Fanfic Audiobook. Dive into epic adventures, mysterious realms, and legendary journeys brought to life through immersive storytelling. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more amazing audiobooks.